Well, good morning and welcome to Morning Cuppa. It's great to have your company this morning. I was sharing in a devotion with some colleagues this past week, and we were talking about the presence of God. One of my colleagues was sharing Psalm 139, which is a beautiful psalm, a hope-filled psalm. It's a psalm about the presence of God. It starts out, you have searched me, Lord, and you know me. And it talks about God's presence. Where can I flee from your presence? God, you are everywhere. You're wherever I go, you're there. And it's a beautiful, powerful, hope-filled psalm. But I have to confess that there have been times in my life when I've read these words differently. You have searched me, Lord. You know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise, you perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before. You lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go to flee from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn and I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become as night around me, even the darkness will not be dark for you. The night will shine like the day, for the darkness is as light to you. Have you ever felt that resistance to God's presence? As if, God, you just won't leave me alone. I know that for me, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that God refuses to leave me alone. Not because God's an in-your-face God, but because God is a by your side God, by my side God. He's not looking to trip me up. He's not looking to spy on me. God knows me inside out. There's nothing that can be hidden from God. But He knows me fully, and He loves me fully. He loves you fully. And there's nowhere we can get away from God's love. He will never give up on us. He will never forsake us. Right now, in these times, I think that people are particularly hungry for presence. We have digital communication, many of us, but we're hungry to be in each other's presence, to just know that we're together in each other's presence. And I think too that we're hungry to know that presence of God. It's one of the things I found doing an online Zoom with communion recently. A few weeks back we were doing communion, and one of the members of the church was sharing how much that meant to him, because he'd done so much Zoom for his work and for family and for church, and there was something about the physicality of the presence of God in Christ's body and Christ's blood that recentered him and regrounded him. And that's what this psalm is about. It's not about the threat of God's presence. It's about the promise, the assurance of God's presence. Not as a judge to trip us up, but as an advocate, as someone who wants only the best for us, to be alongside us. And I think that's a challenge right now for the church. How can we be that for people around us? How can we be that for the world around us? How can we reflect the presence of God that will not give up on people? I know that we've had ways that we've done that in the past as the church. We've found ways to do that in the past, but in today's context, when we can't gather as we would normally gather, if we gather as we used to gather, it would be a reflection not of love, but of callous negligence or spiritual arrogance. So how can we be that presence? How can we embody that presence for one another? I know that I've done a lot of praying and thinking about that in the past few weeks and months. It is the first thought and prayer that comes into my mind when I awaken in the morning. It's with me through the day, and it's the last prayer that I pray at night. How can we be the church in this time? Like I say, I have a lot of ideas. I don't have all the answers, but I do know that is what God is calling us to. That this psalm is a psalm full of hope, even when it moves into there's a section of this psalm that we often leave off because it's full of this sort of human vitriol, and yet it seeks God's presence that can reshape and reform and renew who we are, how we are, because of whose we are. So I want to leave you with just a word from this psalm, read in the way that it's intended to be read, not with resistance, but with an embrace of God's presence with us and through us. Psalm 139. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there, your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book, before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am still with you. I pray that you know God's presence with you today, and I pray that in that you have a hope-filled day.